Thanks for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And we're passionate about holistic wellness that real people with real lives can achieve.
We see you out there striving for perfection, but we want you to know that good enough can be good enough.
Before we get started, everything we talk about in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, medication, or supplements.
You're listening to episode 32, DIY Supplementation. In this episode, we are going to chat about ways to DIY supplements.
So Kayla, what have you been nerding out about this week?
So at this point, the training will already have come and gone, but a lot of what I was nerding out about was burnout and learning about burnout and how it affects our bodies and how we can get out of burnout. And so yeah, just doing a lot of research and reading around burnout and physiological effects that it can have on us. And then as soon as that training was done, I jumped right into creating a plan for my next training, which I think you all are going to be really excited about. So keep your ears...
Is it still a secret?
Yes, it's still a secret.
Okay.
So keep your ears open. I'm sure I'll announce it on here. There's going to be an ad for it. And then if you aren't already, get on my email list. They're usually the first to find out about these things. So there's a free training coming in May that I think you'll be really excited about.
So excited.
What about you, Emily?
So I've been nerding out about... I read a book recently called Fast Like a Girl, and it made me really, first of all, I am not endorsing fasting, but it made me think about how it's such a gift and a good idea to come at new ideas or maybe old ideas that you once threw away and want to revisit out of a place of curiosity and not out of fear and judgment and insecurity. And I think that applies to all areas of life, whether it's your relationship or projects you're working on or why you can't keep the house clean or whatever. But I think in this context, it really does apply to ideas that maybe once triggered you or even maybe you used irresponsibly and they injured you, and just getting really curious and exploring ideas that maybe in the end like me you will go, oh nope, that's still not for me, or I don't agree with that, and that's okay. It's no judgment on anybody around you. It's just discerning for yourself and staying curious always.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to not let yourself get stuck in the echo chamber and just surround yourself with ideas that you agree with. It's really important for our brains and their growth and development to take in different information from what we're used to or what we actually believe and kind of sort through it and see what applies to us, see what doesn't, see if we agree, see if we don't. And it helps us to think critically, I think. And that's so good for us.
Yeah, I agree. Hey there, Goopers. Yeah, Goopers. You guys who listen to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast, that's your name now. Get used to it. Are you craving a healthier, more balanced life, but you're not sure where to start? Or maybe you've tried all the tips and tricks that seem impossible to keep up with because, well, you've got a real life. Sound familiar? Here's some good news. We've got something just for you. Our free Patreon community is all about holistic wellness that works for real people just like you. Whether you're juggling a busy schedule, navigating health challenges, or just curious about improving your digestion, sleep, or energy levels, we're here to help you thrive without the overwhelm. Inside, you'll find show notes, downloads, worksheets, and exclusive recordings to help you get started. Plus, it's not just about advice, it's about connection. You'll join a supportive group of people on the same journey, cheering each other on and sharing ideas that actually work. The best part? It's totally free to join. So why not take the first step today? Head over to patreon.com/goodenoughwellnesspodcast and join the community where wellness meets real life. Let's grow together. You've got this. So we're going to talk all about DIY supplementation today. We're big DIY girlies, both because we are curious creatures and also we're cheap people.
Budget conscious.
Thank you. Thrifty, if you will. So I think first we kind of want to chat about, though, when to DIY and when not to DIY, and, caution always when you're, kind of trying to target something specifically with a supplement.
Right. So, we were chatting kind of off air about like when to DIY, when not to. And I'm like, I don't really know what to say around this because a lot of these options are food based. And it's like, I'm not the kind of person who says you should avoid this food.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, I don't know. I was just kind of struggling with it. And then we were talking about, like, well, maybe we should just highlight how to determine how something is optimal for you. So, like, if you're wanting to figure out how to optimize your food choices so that way they are helping you meet your goals, there are some great ways to find out. First you can do some like self-research on something you might be struggling with. So that could be something like, I have a pretty good indication that I struggle with blood sugar regulation, or I have a pretty good indication that my gut is a wreck, or
eczema,
yeah,
or something more tangible.
Optimize my periods, like
sleep.
Yeah, I need to optimize my sleep. So if you're looking to optimize something like that, there are some tools that can be really useful, like self-research. And you can also use functional testing through a practitioner. And I promise this isn't an ad for me, but using something like the hair tissue mineral analysis or GI map, and using a practitioner to help you read them can be really, really helpful in figuring out what nutrients are going to be most useful for you in your situation, in your body, so that way you're not, for lack of a better word, flushing your supplementation down the toilet. If it's not actually serving you and your goals, then you probably don't really want to waste your money on it. So, yeah, I think it's important to do a little self-research.
Informed is always a good idea.
I always recommend like doing some research and figuring out what you can, and then if you need some further help, I'm always here to help you with a functional test, or there's lots of other practitioners who do it. You don't have to go through me if that makes you uncomfortable, or if I'm just not a good fit for you. There's just lots of ways to go about that.
If you've listened to this podcast in the last 20 or so episodes, you'll hear me talk about magnesium, and specifically magnesium bicarb, because it's so stinking easy and it's so easy to add to your water. And I really love it because, like, sometimes you guys know, like, you're drinking water and it just like sits heavy or like falls flat, or it's just like it just doesn't taste right today. A lot of times it just needs a splash of magnesium.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
because usually if I add minerals to my water, I don't like it.
Yeah, I understand that, but it just, like, I don't know, it smooths it somehow, and then I can just drink a bunch of it.
Good to know.
Yeah. We've chatted a lot. I don't know if on the podcast, but, like, together, just thinking about, like, how there's a lot of research that indicates that we used to get our magnesium primarily from water, as it, like, ran over magnesium
Rocks.
sources. Yeah. Yes. So getting it in your water, it just kind of makes sense to me. Everything we talk about, if it's going to have a recipe, we're going to go ahead and put in our show notes, but it's so easy. You just need magnesium. Help me out. Hydroxide. It comes in powder. Bulk Supplements has cheap stuff that works great. You put it in some carbonated water, either that you buy at the store or from your
Soda Stream.
Thank you. Look at us, teamwork today. And you just, like, shake it up like a crazy person, and then don't touch it so it doesn't explode everywhere. And then it'll settle. Science ensues, and then you have magnesium bicarb, and it's, like, super bioavailable and gentle in your stomach. It's not the kind that makes you, like, poop everywhere, promise. I mean, unless you do too much, in which case anything will, yeah. You've been warned. May God have mercy on your soul. So magnesium is, I don't know, it's probably at the top of this is the easiest first thing that you should DIY. You guys know supplements aren't cheap. So, like, anytime I can be like, this is a cheap way to do this, you should jump on that.
Also on the magnesium train, you can do magnesium bicarbonate for sure. I think that's great. It's very bioavailable. But another way to start on magnesium that's not a supplement is magnesium baths.
Yes.
These can be really helpful if you're like really low in magnesium, or if you're burning through a lot of magnesium,
Or you're really sensitive to
or
it.
you're really sensitive to magnesium. Using it transdermally, so on the skin, so like some people use like lotions or sprays, or a bath, can be really helpful for increasing your magnesium input. And pro tip, if you don't have time for a magnesium bath, what you can do is stop up the tub while you're taking a shower.
Smart.
And so that way you're like getting a foot soak while you're taking a shower.
That's so smart.
It's not as long as a bath or whatever, but usually you only need like 20 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
And that's about as long as it might take to shower. So might as well hack your shower.
That's so smart.
I think I saw first Adina Rubin did it, but I've seen other people now have done that and suggested it. So
Information is for sharing.
yeah, I mean, I have done it before. My husband doesn't really care for it. He doesn't like the idea of standing in water while he's showering.
I understand this because I was just thinking about how dirty that water would be after my husband showers. Like,
Yeah, I know.
is yours like as grimy as mine is?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You like they're not that dirty, and then like the water's brown. You're like, oh my gosh.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, I guess this is only really works if you're showering by yourself, and or if you're not, you haven't been rolling in dirt all
Grease
day.
or whatever
Yeah.
they do. I don't know. But I was thinking about magnesium baths for kids, especially because supplementing with kids can be, you want to be so careful.
Tricky.
They're tiny. They are tiny people, and you got to be so careful. But your skin is only going to soak up as much as it wants to, and I like that a lot. There are lots of recipes too for like magnesium sprays or lotions. Kayla and I just happen to not enjoy them, so we actually don't have any recipes for them. They make me itchy. I don't know.
I don't like the way it feels on my skin. I'm very particular.
I know
about
some
my
people
skin.
swear by them, so it might be something worth checking out too. You know that this whole list would not be complete without talking about organ meat. Do we even need to wax poetic about organ meat? Everybody knows liver's good for you, heart's good for you, kidneys are good for you. They're packed full of minerals, packed full of vitamins. They're a superfood. They were coveted during hunts. They were given to the women and the children first, especially pregnant women. Before we talk about them too much, I just want to say that they are very powerful, and powerful things need to be respected. Do not eat liver every single day, a whole serving. You know, I think supplementing with like liver capsules is like fine, but like let's be cautious. And I think this is where, especially if you're going to do it long term, an HTMA is like probably a really good idea.
Yes.
Because you can, I want to say people can get, is it copper toxicity?
Yeah.
From it. Because it's high in these things. It's powerful. We respect things that are powerful. But I will say that if you want to, you know, if you've looked at like buying these things, they are not cheap. They are expensive. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go find yourself a source of high quality organ meat, liver, heart. Honestly, like a heart or something I'd probably just cook, but liver especially. And you're either going to make friends with somebody whose parents have a freeze dryer.
Like we did.
We're friends with her for other reasons, I promise. But this is a real perk.
They got the freeze dryer after we were friends with them. So
yeah, so don't come at me. And you could totally, we have plans to like, we're going to freeze dry a bunch of organ meats. We're going to pulverize them and encapsulate them. We're going to have an encapsulation party like the weirdos we are. Or I know we've talked about even we're going to try out just like sprinkling it in our food. I think that's cool too. Like
homemade pluck
seasoning does that. But the other thing you can do is, this is nasty, but it does work, is throwing that liver in a food processor or a blender or any machine that you have, it's not going to grind. And I am so sorry about that. Nope. It is going to paste. It's going to goop. And then
goop.
That's funny. And then I have frozen them in like sandwich bags, like laid them flat and then put them in like another bag. If I do it again, I'll probably do like ice cube tray or something. I was going to
say, I saw silicone molds the other day and I was like, that's a really great idea.
Yeah. Or you know what I've been doing with broth lately? Side quest. It's been so cold where we are, like consistently in the teens and single digits, especially at night. And I've been measuring out 1 cup of broth into like yogurt containers on my little sheet pan, and then I stick them on my porch until they're frozen, which takes like no time at all, and then I pop them out like they're little hockey pucks of broth, and I'm like, I bet that would work super well to do that in the winter with liver
Pureed
and stuff like
liver,
that. Yeah, I think that works super good. But then we just thaw them when we thaw ground beef. We put them in tacos and chili, and what else do you put them in?
I think I've done tacos, chili, spaghetti meat.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I've meant to do it in meatloaf a couple different times, but I've forgotten.
Anywhere that's like
Anything that
high
has ground
flavor
beef,
ground
yeah.
beef would be great. Yeah. So that's like such a great hack. And I know that freeze drying is supposed to preserve like most of all the good stuff, but like I think the less you process, the better nutritionally. Right. So I think, and it's such a great way to get your whole family. Like my toddler can destroy some taco meat. So like, I can't get him to take a capsule, obviously, but he's going to eat 3 tacos when we have tacos. And I think you do that every week, Taco Tuesday, and now you've got your supplementation for organ meat figured out.
Yeah, it's so smart.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people start with herbs when they start DIYing because, I don't know, there's just something really fun to be like a little herbal.
Kitchen witch.
I know I want to use the word witchy, but I feel like people are going to get testy about it. Calm down. It doesn't mean what you think it means in this context. But like, am I the only one who just like romanticizes having like lines of herbs in their pantries and like, yeah, I love it. You can grow herbs, obviously. You can wildcraft herbs, which just means going out in a field and picking them, or you could get like herbs dried in bulk. Yep. Frontier Co-op is usually who I get them from. They have a website, but you can also get them on Amazon. They're almost the same price.
I think you can get Frontier Co-op on Amazon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, Frontier Co-op is on Amazon, and it's not much more expensive than just going to their website.
I see.
So you can get like
Mountain Rose Herbs is another
Mountain Rose
one.
Herbs is a really reputable one. Bulk herb store used to be really popular. I don't know if they're still in existence. You want to look for good sources, obviously, but then you have these dried herbs that you can do all kinds of fun stuff with. And usually herbs, you can take them, encapsulated as is, but usually you want to like activate them somehow. So you're going to do either like teas or infusions or tinctures or
use them to season your food.
Yeah, totally.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, I don't know why, like when we talk about herbalism, we don't talk more about using them culinarily.
Yeah, I think we kind of like shrug off like
culinary herbs.
Yeah, but like they are also really good for you and really powerful.
Right.
I do think herbs are something that you should have some kind of guidance with. Again,
absolutely.
They work. They
Very
are
potent.
Powerful. But like anything that's powerful, you need to respect it. So I'm going to just put a plug in here there's a book called The Minimalist Natural Medicine Cabinet by Kristen Smith. And I think she did such a good job of narrowing it down, like the top, I forget how many things are in there, but like the top handful of things of like, you want to start a natural medicine cabinet, here are like the so basic things, low barrier to entry, not super expensive. I value her expertise in this. She's an herbalist. She's very experienced. She has like a mess of kids. So like she's put them all to the test so many times. So I highly recommend that book to get you started. I don't think she gets into tinctures in that one. I think it's mostly like elderberry, fire cider, different infusions, that sort of thing. But don't underestimate those. I think those are really powerful.
Right. They're a great place to start for sure.
Yeah.
And really like with most things, it can be difficult to jump into something all the way the first time, especially with something that's kind of expensive to do that with. Mm-hmm. So start with the few things and work your way up. A lot more sustainable that way.
Yeah, totally. I know it's tempting to like just go and drop so much money on all of the DIY things, but it kind of defeats the purpose of DIY. Like think of it not just as like filling your medicine cabinet, your pantry, but also think of it as like stocking your DIY library, like your knowledge that you're gaining internally of these things. And like if you go about it slow and steady, it will stick a lot better than being like having 5 infusions and organ meat going at the same time. Like
Right.
slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, and it's like with herbs, like Emily was saying, there's lots of different ways to do it. So you can do tea, seasoning, tincture, oxymel, infusion. I don't remember if I said that already. Glycerites,
Yeah.
which I did a glycerite not long ago. It's not hard to do at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I started with just one, despite my like drive and desire to be like, I'm going to start 18 glycerites because I'm excited about it. But I was like, nope, start with one and then we'll go from there. And I was just taking like a couple dropperfuls a day. And then the other day it dawned on me that I could be putting this in my water. So that way I could be mineralizing my water because I'm using nettle, which nettle is really high in potassium.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like it gives it a little more flavor.
Yeah.
And it makes it more hydrating. And I was like, wow. Sometimes I'm shocked at how dumb I am and then surprised at how like smart I am for making the connection. But then I'm like, oh, wait,
Yes.
I should have made that connection a long time ago. But anyway.
I mean, I have texted you multiple times going, this isn't groundbreaking, but this is blowing my mind. And, like the
Right.
connections you make sometimes. But
So you may have noticed that this list is kind of short, and that's on purpose because Emily and I believe in a food first approach, and we've talked about this multiple times. And we didn't want to spend this whole episode just saying, here's a list of foods you can eat to get all of your vitamins and minerals, when we've talked about that in plenty of other episodes before. So if you're looking for like specific micronutrients that you're like, oh, I should probably take a supplement like a multivitamin or something, think about food first. Lots of foods all foods have micronutrients. So taking some time to take a look at the micronutrient breakdown of your foods and figuring out where your gaps are and where you can boost that using a food you're already eating 3 times a day, maybe more. Use those meal times as your multivitamin, essentially. So some other episodes where we talked about this, I'll link these in the show notes. We talked about this in an episode called Intro to Micronutrients, and also, what was the other one? Supplements for Beginners.
yeah,
Something like that. I'll link it so you won't have to like search or anything. But yeah, like using food as your multivitamin essentially can be really, really helpful, both budget friendly wise and also bioavailability wise.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Hey there, friends. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed on your health journey? Maybe you've got questions about digestion, supplements, or just how to take that next small step toward feeling better. Well, I've got something exciting just for you. Office Hours. Every Tuesday, I'm hosting 2 live video chat sessions where we can connect one-on-one. This is your chance to ask questions, get guidance, or simply chat about how to make progress on your health journey. Whether it's understanding your supplements, tackling digestion challenges, or figuring out how food and lifestyle can support you, I'm here to help. Now, here's the fun part. While the links to join Office Hours are available to everybody, my email subscribers get so much more. By joining my email list, you'll not only stay updated on Office Hours reminders, but also get access to exclusive tips, resources, and inspiration to help you feel your best. Head over to the show notes for this episode and sign up for my email list today. I can't wait to see you during Office Hours and help you take your next steps with confidence and clarity. Let's do this together.
What's good this week, Kayla?
So what's good this week is finally, after almost 33 years.
I was saying, how old are you?
Yeah, 32 and a half years, which, I mean, this hasn't been going on that long, but I decided I'm going to therapy.
Hooray.
I haven't made the appointment yet. I'm playing phone tag right now. But just the simple act of calling to make the appointment was very difficult for me. Because it's like, I'm somebody who's like, everyone benefits from therapy, but I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Because it feels so... I think there's just still some stigma around it for me where it's like, I don't have that big of a problem. But I would never think that about somebody else.
Yeah.
Ever. Like, anyone who's ever gone to therapy, I'm like, good for you. Get the help you need, but not me. I don't need help.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and to be fair, making an appointment is hard. Like,
making an appointment is hard.
It took me so long just to make a dentist appointment
Yeah.
for, like, not a big deal. It wasn't something I was avoiding. It was just like,
have
but
to
the
call.
telephone.
So yeah, that's what's good for me this week is finally making the appointment for therapy. So if I get on here and sob next week, maybe that's why. I'm just kidding.
Good for you. We're here for you.
Yeah. What about you, Emily?
My good thing this week was Galentine's Day. It's my very first Galentine's Day, and I now observe it as a national holiday. We went out to dinner with our little friend group, and gosh, it was
so fun.
It was so soul-filling. It's like the food was fine. My burger was overcooked and dry, but it was just like the company was so... We don't often all get together, first of all, in the same room, and second of all, we don't often all get together without kids running around. So like being able to speak freely and just be adults and kind of like nobody really dressed up per se, but we like took the time to like put an outfit together. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a comfortable adult friend group, and I do now. And if you don't have friends, like friends that you can be like, hey, let's do Galentine's Day, then you need to work on that. That should be your one New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
It was just nice. It was soul-filling.
I spent my 20s without a community, and I'm glad I have it now.
Yeah. What a stark difference.
Yeah.
Look at you going to therapy and all that.
I haven't even gone yet. And look at the changes that have been made.
Amazing. Thank you for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast.
To learn more about my one-on-one packages, join my mailing list and follow me on Instagram at Kayla King Wellness.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Enough Wellness podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't want to miss an episode.
Follow us on Instagram at Good Enough Wellness Podcast to learn about upcoming episodes and join our free Patreon to interact with the Good Enough community.
The Good Enough Wellness Podcast, because good enough can be good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Me too.